Hi, it's Nell, and today I am hanging out with my Aeoniums because I'm going to be telling you all about Aeonium arboreum care made simple. You know, I just got tired of how to grow, so I thought I'd mix the title up a little bit. And also, I want to tell you too, if you're new to the channel and you're not subscribed, be sure to hit subscribe because I upload videos on a regular basis here all about gardening, plants, flowers, all that good stuff. So I was going to do this video specifically about growing Aeoniums in the desert because it can be a challenge, but mine are obviously doing fine. But then I thought, why not include where I used to live, which is Santa Barbara, the coast of California, because Aeoniums do great in Southern California, where I used to live in Santa Barbara, which is a central coast, and then up the central coast to San Francisco in the Bay Area, my old haunting grounds where I used to live for 20 years. Now, I grew a lot of Aeoniums in my garden in Santa Barbara, but the ones that I found to be the hardiest are the arboreums, and arbor obviously means tree, so these are tree-like. They get stems. So that's why I'm going to be specifically talking about them. Also, they are very common. There are different, varieties of them. This is the arboreum. This is the arboreum ultra-purpureum. There's Schwarzkopf, which is a very, very dark, almost purple-black. I think there's one called, don't quote me, but Black Robe or something. So there's a few of them, and sometimes they get confused with the names and the varieties and all that. So these were sold to me as Aeonium arboreum, and this one was sold to me as Aeonium arboreum, ultra-purpureum. Regardless, the care is the same. And what I'm going to be talking about here specifically is caring for them outdoors in containers. But at the end, I'm going to touch on growing them as houseplants because I've grown them as houseplants, but that really isn't what this video is about. But you might want to watch anyway because you might be taking yours out for the summer. So, some of these will apply. And as I said, the care tips for indoors are really simple, so they'll be at the end, along with a few things that are good to know. So, in regards to these kind of videos that I do, I try to keep them shorter because I do a long blog post, so I'm going to hit on the key points here, and then you can head on over to the blog post for the rest of the information if you are interested. The link to that will be down below and also on our blog, joyousgarden.com, because I've done other videos on Aeoniums that you might want to check out also. So the common name for these plants that I've heard of are is tree Aeonium. I was about to say tree arboreum, but that would be redundant. Tree Aeoniums, and they are in the Crassulaceae family, which I just like to say that word. That's why I said it. Crassulaceae, which is the family of the jade plants, which I'm sure that many of you are familiar with them. So the first thing that I'm going to start with is size. And these get to be about 3 feet by about 3 feet. So they get to be a nice size. And later on, I will turn the plant around so you can actually see how it's turning into a tree. Okay, so growth. For me, these grow moderate to fast. You will see this plant in, I think I transplanted it in August or September, and you will see it, and then you will see how much it has actually grown since then. So they are pretty fast growers. So in terms of exposure, in Santa Barbara, I kept my Aeoniums in the same exposure all year long. Obviously, the ones that were directly planted in the garden stayed, but the pots stayed also. And that was a morning and or afternoon sun. The sun on the California coast is nowhere near as hot and as intense as it is here in the desert. So it is a different story here. Now, in the desert here, it can take all day sun in the winter time, but in the warmer months, which are usually mid-May through the end of September, I move mine into bright shade. It gets no direct sun at all. So I moved it under the underhang of my front door because we were supposed to get snow one day, and I did not want it to get snowed on. And we actually did get snow last Friday, so I'm glad it was under here. And it also helps me to cover it, to protect it if we get any cold evenings. Cold evenings. In Santa Barbara, it was the same drill, you know, the same succulent drill. I would water it thoroughly and then let them go dry before I watered them again. In summer, I would back off on the watering a little bit because that is their actual time to be dormant or semi-dormant. So that's what I would do there. Here, I water them I water this one, you know, because I only have one pot of Aeoniums. I water this one every 2 to 3 weeks in the winter time. Usually more like 3 because it's been colder. And in the summer, I water it every week because it is hot here. And again, it depends on the winter, but that is a sort of a loose rule I go by with the watering. In terms of temperature, they can actually take the temperatures here, but they much prefer the temperature in Santa Barbara, where it's much more even. It's a temperate climate. It's very similar climate to the Canary Islands, which is where these are from. I have been to the Canary Islands, so I know that. There's a beautiful, beautiful botanic garden on Gran Canaria, and you see a lot of Aeoniums, but I digress. So I never had to cover them in Santa Barbara because it very rarely got below 38 degrees in the evening. Now here, it can get cooler, and these plants can take it. They are hardy to about 25 to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. But we had a few evenings that were right around 26, 27. So I just threw a sheet over them for those colder evenings. And that helped to protect them. So here is the back side of the plant, just so you can see what I'm talking about. This tree form here. That's why they are called that. They eventually grow into that. And so that leads us into propagation, because they are very easy to propagate from cuttings or also from division. So I brought these plants as cuttings from my garden in Santa Barbara, and I propagated them. I've done a separate post on that, so post and a video. So I will leave the link to that down below. Now, it's an old, video, so you just have to take that into account. So in terms of repotting or planting and soil, I have you covered in those areas with a video and a post that I just did. I think I just did it like in, September. So that would be maybe 6 months ago, maybe. Anyway, so I will leave the link to that down below because there's a whole separate thing on that. Oh, and this is something that I was going to cover in Good to Know, but I will cover it here as long as I have it. The plant turned around, but you can see all these branches, coming off here. They will break from time to time because what happens is these heads put out the baby heads, and then they just get so heavy it causes these, especially when it's, really thin right there, it'll just cause them to break off. And that is why they are so easy to propagate. As I say, they practically propagate themselves. So pests. Yes, they are susceptible to mealybug and aphids. They can be. I'm trying to think if mine have ever gotten them. I don't remember. They might have gotten orange aphids in Santa Barbara in the spring, but I've done posts on aphids, mealybugs, spider mite, all that, posts and videos. I keep on saying post because I'm a blogger, but I've done videos too, so you can find out what I do for that. The only thing that I will recommend to you, besides take action, is to take action, because you want to get them before they spread and get too out of control. And in terms of safer pets like cats and dogs, I haven't found anything specific about them, but because they are in the same family with jade plants, and the jades are considered to be toxic in some way, I would be careful. Animals don't seem to bother the jade plants. Even this plant, the pack rats haven't gone after at all. So you can just do some research on your own and see if your pet is okay with them. My cats, my two kitties, don't bother plants at all, so I'm okay in that department. Come over here to commune with the ponytail palm for a little bit. So growing them indoors as houseplants, you need high light, as much light as you can give it without being in any hot windows. You don't want it to get any of that hot, direct sun indoors either. And you want a mix that is well drained and aerated so that the roots do not stay wet, which leads me into watering. You want this one to dry out indoors in between watering. That is the best that you can do for it. And let's see, what else? Oh, I've heard that it can be susceptible to spider mites indoors. I don't know if that's true, but just keep your eyes open for pests indoors. I would rotate mine when I was growing it indoors because I had it against a wall, so I would just, rotate it so it would get light from all the way around. But the main two things are to give it high light and to not overwater it. And let's see, there were two more things. It would appreciate being hosed off once or twice a year just to get the dust and the dirt off. It helps the plant to breathe better. You can just take it to the shower or the sink and gently, we're not talking a fire hose here, just gently hose it off. And if there's any possibility that you can take it outdoors for the winter, it would love that. But if you're in a really rainy climate, just be careful about that. You might want it under cover, or if you're in a very hot, sunny climate, like I am, just keep it out of any hot, direct sun. So a few things which are good to know. The rest will be in the blog post, but the first and probably main thing is you will notice a lot of dead leaves coming off of your plant, and that is strictly how it grows. You might have noticed there were a lot of dead leaves in the plant when I had it turned around, but it loses its lower leaves as it grows into the tree form. And one of the other things I've touched on is that those rosette heads do get heavy, and the stems tend to break off. That's just, that is also the nature of the beast. And let's see what else. Oh, don't overwater it, which I mean watering it too often, because they can rot out. And keep it out of any direct hot sun. Okay, so as long as I'm back over here, I thought I would show you this. There are those dead leaves that are an integral part of the growth of this plant, and you can see there's a lot inside which I need to clean out. So there's one more thing I want to touch on here, is that in the cooler months, my Propagation is much more purplish burgundy, and that is because it is much cooler, obviously. So that's why the color has changed a bit. And I'll just show you really quickly too my paddle plants here, which I cut this pot all the way back, and these are those, cuttings I just planted in the fall. It is tinged with beautiful red color at this time of year, whereas in the summer it's solid gray-green. So I hope you have found this video about growing Aeonium arboreums to be helpful. I have a lot more videos coming your way. Actually, I have a lot of pruning to do. Haven't even started that. Repotting. I'll probably be repotting solid for about 2 weeks. I have so much to do. Plant care, houseplant care, succulents, bromeliads. So come back for more and be sure to hit subscribe. I thank you for all your likes and your subscribes. Speaking of which, now let's get out in our gardens and make our worlds a more beautiful place. As always, I thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.